I have a vase which I upcycled. Originally this was a glass storage container. I sprayed it white and I'd added on one of my permanent tattoos. I thought I ought to test how permanent this little sticker was, and I discovered that it was pretty permanent. In fact, I had to use a palette knife to scrape it off. Now I have a vase that's all scratchy and horrible. So what am I going to do with it? I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. I asked this question over on my Facebook page, and one of the suggestions was that I paint a paint splat on it. So rather than painting the whole jar, I put a flash of colour in one particular area. So I'm going to give that a go. I've decided that I need to practice my technique of effortlessly creating a few paint stripes on my vase. This is my chalkboard on our kitchen wall. I've got a glass of water and the paintbrush I'm going to be using, and I just want to get the idea of sort of slip, slap, slopping the paint on in an effortlessly natural way before I commit the real paint to the side of my vase. So here goes. I thought I'd use chalkboard paint to create my splat, and then I can chalk a message on it. So I've got my paint here. I'm going to give it a good old shake. Take the lid off, and I don't want too much paint on my paintbrush. I'm going to dab some onto my saucer here and then try and do some free-form brush strokes. Here goes. So I need to remember to keep my brush strokes really light and really fluid to go for good coverage, which looks really, really natural. Wish me luck. I'm going to start in the middle and then flick out to the outer edges. I quite like that side there with the brush strokes. I wonder whether I can recreate that the other side. I'm going to practice on my saucer. So I should be able to go like that and brush the other way. I'm rather pleased with that. So I'm going to let that dry, and if needs be, I'll add another coat just to get really great coverage. My paint splat is dry now. I'm rather impressed with the light touch of the brush strokes around the edges. Piece of chalk and write a message. For Mum. I thought I might develop the idea of the black and white vase a little bit further. I'm going to mask off the bottom and the top and paint a solid black line around the middle and perhaps tie a ribbon around it. I'm using low tack masking tape to screen off the areas that I don't want to have paint on. Give my chalkboard paint a shake. Start painting. So I'll leave that to dry and come back and do another coat. My second coat of paint is dry, so I'm going to peel off the masking tape and see what we've got. A nice crisp line there. Really pleased with that finish. A really, really crisp line at the top and the bottom, and that chalk paint in between. So again, I could get my chalk out and start writing messages on, or soften up the look by tying a ribbon around the vase. I've got some black satin ribbon here with a little knobbly edge. I'm going to give that a go. I might wrap that round a few times actually, so I've got a contrast between the dull paint and the glossy ribbon. Actually, I'm not convinced about that. Should we try another way of jazzing up this jar? I'll take this ribbon off and save that for something else. What I've got here is some sandpaper. Shall I try take everything off and get myself some stripes going through the vase? Shall I? So I've been a bit bold here, really distressing that chalkboard paint. So wipe it off and see what we think of this look. I'm quite pleased with the marks on here. The only problem is that when I was sandpapering, this is now all scuffed and doesn't look quite so good. So what I think I might do now is put my masking tape here along this line and paint the rest of the vase black. So I'm going to have solid black at the top, solid black at the bottom, and then this middle section with these parallel lines running through, adding a bit of texture to the outside of the vase. I've added 2 coats of paint to my jar. It's well and truly dried. Now let's peel off the masking tape and see whether this paint job was a success. So what do you reckon? I would say that is a huge success. I really love these textural markings on the side here, a great contrast for the matte black. And because it's chalkboard paint, of course, I can still write my own messages on the vase as well. All this needs now is flowers. Step 1, fill your vase with water. Step 2, add flowers. I'm using some flowers I've already had around at home. I got a mixed bouquet about 10 days ago, so it's time to refresh that, pick out the stuff that looks really fresh, and I can use that again. And the bits that have gone over, they'll be destined for the compost heap. I'm using Solidago here, which is a really good filler flower, and actually I'm going to use it as greenery to make the base of my arrangement. First of all, measure up against the side of the vase how tall I want my flowers to be, and then recut the stems at an angle. And you can see already that really starts to fill the vase out, and because this is really bushy, it'll help my other flowers stand up. I've got some bloom chrysanthemums next. I might have these going up at different heights, so coming quite low down with the first flower and then going up and up with the others. The stepping stones, 1, 2, 3, leading your eye up throughout the flowers. I've got a couple of stems left, I'm going to add those in as well. These are crocosmia. The flowers have gone over and I've picked them off, and I'm left with this really lovely shaped stem. So I'm going to add those in as a final little twist. All finished. Homemade vase, reused flowers. Looks really, really great. In a couple of days, I'll tip away the water, pour fresh in and recut my stems and enjoy them for a few days longer. That's all for now, and I'll see you another time.